If you're a fan of quests of rising into power and building yourself up, V Rising is an open-world survival crafting game where you play as a vampire instead of the usual non-undead survivor. The game has been out for over a year in early access and has now been fully released as of May 7, 2024. And given how it's been out for a while, with some time to really shape itself, does V Rising, in its complete form, have what it takes to separate itself from the multitude of different survival crafters out there? V Rising is primarily a survival crafting game, so it doesn't have a story to really engage in. What it gives its players instead is a progression system in which your vampire, to grow in strength, must hunt down strong enemies to drain their blood to make themselves even more powerful. The game is split into multiple acts each, making your vampire face each arcs that have their own unique boss enemies that you must defeat. Each of these foes grows stronger and stronger as you progress through the game, so players have to always be on their toes when they set out to take them down. While the game really doesn't have a lot of story to chew on, the premise in itself is compelling enough. The goal is simple but effective. To do whatever it takes to become the strongest vampire to rule the night can be motivation enough for the players. It's with its gameplay where V Rising truly shines. The game is a great blend of combat, survival, and exploration as the main mechanics are fleshed out very well. You can choose from 3 different difficulties: relax, normal, and brutal for any hardcore vamps. What separates V Rising from other games from the genre is of course being a vampire, who of course dwells and thrives mostly at night. While other games usually have you explore during the day and take shelter at night, V Rising turns the tables. Since you are a vampire, you hunt better during the night and are weaker during the day. At nighttime, you are free to move around. At daytime, you must be careful on where to go as the sun's rays will deal damage to you the longer you stay out in the sunlight. This makes the game a lot more interesting, as there may be times where you end up being caught right as the sun comes up and you have to hop from shadow to shadow to keep yourself safe from the burning rays of the sun. No SPF will save you from that. In V Rising, you create your own spawn of the night with the aim of becoming the most powerful vampire in the land. There are many ways to really customize your vampire to your liking, as there are a lot of choices of faces and hairstyles to choose from. And if you want to splurge a little more, you can make yourself look like Alucard from Castlevania with the new DLC. The faces range from very human-like to a face only a mother could love. Look at that smile. V Rising's gameplay can be quite challenging even for players who are well experienced in survival games. The game's map is quite large, and is filled with a lot of foes to fight and resources to collect, like plants, animal products, man-made items like cloth, and so on and so forth. The combat is a quick and deadly dance of moves, which require you to carefully know when to use your abilities to get the win. And of course, you will also need to fight the many bosses scattered around the map to progress through the game. So you definitely got your money cut out for you. Defeating these bosses gives you very useful craftable gear, as well as ability points for you to spend on your vampire powers. There are 6 skill trees, each with their unique powers and abilities, so you have many choices to make the vampire of your dreams. Another thing you can use to gain advantage in a fight is relying on certain blood types that fit your playstyle. You will come across a lot of enemies, each with their own blood type: rogue, creature, warrior, etc. And all of these give out their own buffs the better the blood types are. While the combat may feel difficult at times, we died quite a few times in the early parts of the game, not gonna lie. There was never any time we felt like the game was being completely unfair. Most of our deaths were caused by us not keeping track of our positions and cooldowns, so once you get used to the main combat mechanics of the game, it does make for a fun, instinctive combat experience. During your downtime from combat, you will engage in the game's base building gameplay to build your vampire castle. And who doesn't want their own Mojo Dojo Casa vampire house?
Sublime!
Your base is where you can craft upgrades to your equipment and as well as keep you safe from the harsh rays of the sun. The more you progress through the game, the more things you can build and improve your base with. The gameplay of V Rising may be simple, but its core gameplay loop is quite addicting, and we end up losing track of our time while playing through the game. The game is best played as a multiplayer, but we also had tons of fun just mindlessly exploring our own single-player world. V Rising goes for an isometric camera-styled gameplay, which is a bit unusual for a survival game. which you often see use a first-person point of view. The visuals and graphics look very stylized to fit the theme, and it looks great. The isometric style gives you a bird's eye view of your surroundings and the details within it, like the way the trees cast down shadows, and just the many details in the environment that really shows the devs' attention to detail. You can truly get that feeling of getting lost in your own little world. The different environments look great and diverse, from the somber forests of Farbane Woods to the quiet city streets of Silverlight Hills. All these areas breathe their own life and spark into the world of V Rising, and really drives home that melancholic, vampiric ambiance. The way the ambient sounds of the environment compose your relaxing stroll around the forest, to the intense music that rises when you face off various enemies. And the combat effects also sound like they pack quite a punch, as hitting enemies really feels like you're doing some real damage. Ooh, listen to that. The same can be said for the different spells you cast too, where they have their own flourish and style. V Rising is a huge standout from an industry that is already saturated with different renditions of the survival game. Its premise alone of being able to play as a vampire who roams the night slaying their foes, only to hide and take shelter when daylight strikes, with its gameplay, is enough to make this game worth playing. It's simple, yes, but it can be all that you need to enjoy an immersive, action-packed game that makes its own space within the genre. And that's why we here at Game8 are giving V Rising a 9 out of 10. The game is quite an addicting experience, and we here can't wait to sink our teeth into more of it. But for now, this has been Game8, and we'll see you in the next one.